Hello, and welcome to Health and Fitness Redefined. I am your host, Anthony Ivain. Join me today as we take a dive into the world of health and fitness, where we learn how to overcome adversity, depict fact versus fiction, and see health and fitness on a whole new light. We have an amazing episode set up for you guys today. I would like to introduce our guest speaker, Pat, but I don't want to say anything more beyond that because this is going to be a very fun, exciting episode, and I want him to introduce himself. So go for it, Pat. Tell us a little about yourself.
All right. Thanks, Anthony. I appreciate it, man. So my name is Pat Ivain. I'm a personal trainer. I work for O2 Fitness, which is a company in the Carolinas. But mostly my focus is on a lot of corrective exercises, and the specific population of people I help is a lot of retirees. So I see a lot of people dealing with, the problems of advanced age, a lot of corrective exercises necessary. And then I started kind of expanding my business to online once COVID happened and I could no longer see people in a physical space anymore, which also spurred on me creating my own podcast. So I host the Muscle Confusion podcast. And that's kind of what we're talking about today. Some confusion in fitness and myths.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I want to hear first a little bit more about you. So why did you decide to become a personal trainer? And just give us a nice background story of starting from a young age all the way up to now.
Okay, so as a young lad, I played sports most of my life till I got to the point where I graduated high school and just wasn't quite good enough to move on in an impactful way, I suppose. But I kind of fell in love with coaching. So I started coaching mainly basketball, but I also did soccer and track and field for a while. I worked at a very small high school. So they're like, you know how to coach basketball. Why not soccer and track? I was like, oh, there's plenty of reasons why not, but sure, we'll do it. And then I picked up and left upstate New York and moved with my wife to South Carolina to avoid the cold mostly. And
I don't blame you.
Yeah. And just to kind of make ends meet, I left coaching and started working, in restaurants or sales, all that kind of stuff. And just, without sounding, weird about it, there was a void. And about 2 years ago, I kind of reassessed my situation. Thought, what am I not doing now that I was doing a couple of years ago? And it was just interacting with people and coaching mostly. I went from coaching high school kids to now, like I said, it's mostly adults in advanced age. But I see all from, I think my youngest client's 14 and my oldest client is almost 80. So
wow,
they're a little different, those two populations, but yeah, so I'm a NASM-certified personal trainer, and I just spend as much time as possible learning, I guess, and that's kind of my jam. I was at Goodwill the other day because my wife's obsessed with buying secondhand things, and I went through the book section and bought Chris Kresser's book, Unconventional Medicine, and I bought this other nutrition textbook, and not with any intention of taking, another written exam for a certification, but just to learn, because that's something I definitely need to know more about, more nutrition stuff. But I am all about just getting people to move optimally, because I think that's the biggest thing is people just move like crap, and it causes a lot of problems down the line.
Yeah, definitely something people need to focus on more and more and more. So what made you want to start your own podcast, and especially what made you want to talk about muscle confusion and debunking myths? Where did that come from?
So I'm just a huge fan of podcasts. When I was coaching, I used to spend a lot of time traveling and just got really sick of my iTunes because I was listening to the same, couple hundred songs. And I'm like, this is not passing time anymore. So I just started listening to, what were the big podcasts? Like Joe Rogan is still, that's still kicking, but that was a big one. Bunch of other ones. And it just passes the time better. And I kind of fell in love with the medium. Now to the point where it's other than if I'm doing like a real intense workout, when I need like a little like rap or metal or something to kind of drive me through a lift, mostly I just listen to podcasts, and I started listening to yours the other day. I just absorb information. So I've had it in my mind for a couple of years that, I'd love to do a podcast, but it's the same objection I hear from all my prospective clients is like, I don't know if I have time to come into the gym that, 3-4 days a week. And I was like, I'm working too much. I don't have time to record a podcast. COVID happened, and now I have all the time in the world to do things. So
don't you love that? Where we tell our clients like, time's no excuse. And then the second it comes back to us, it's, oh man, I just literally sound exactly like my clients.
Yeah, no, it's 100% the same thing. That's why I think everybody should have somewhat of a coach. Like even like one of my coworkers, I'm doing a program that he's working on now because I almost have like fatigue from writing programs for people. So I'm like, I don't want to write my own thing. So I just kind of go through the motions. He's like, you're going to do this. I'm like, yes, sir. And then I go out and don't have to think about it. But yeah, I'm much too similar to a lot of my clients. So I feel like I understand them a lot.
Which helps you relate, and ultimately, I think makes you a better trainer and a better individual, because then you understand where someone's coming from because you think the same way.
Yeah, exactly. Another, on that same note, I don't ever sit down. And then once all this happened, I said, I went virtual with a lot of my clients. I had been going from, on my feet 8-10 hours on the gym floor, moving around, getting down in the squat and helping people, to now I sit in like a lawn chair and like watch my computer or my phone, and I'm like FaceTiming or doing Zoom things with people. And I'm like, man, my hip flexors are sore. My back hurts. When I tell people all the time that like, you got to get up out of your desk at work, move around, take a walk. And I was like, oh yeah, that does hurt. I guess that's true, what I was telling people.
But it makes you feel better. You're like, at least I know something.
Yeah, it's like, oh, good, I was right. And then your other question, the name of the podcast. Remember P90X?
Yeah.
The beach body things? The whole shtick with that was, you got to muscle confusion. You got to confuse the muscles. Well, muscles don't really have brains per se. So that's kind of largely dumb, I guess. There's some novelty effect to it, but it was a tongue-in-cheek name that I just decided on kind of spur of the moment 2 days before I recorded my first episode, because it was an Untitled fitness podcast for a while when I was getting all my guests in line.
No, I love that.
Good, I got one.
I love that because mine is so unoriginal. I mean, health and fitness redefined, and my company name is Redefined Fitness. So where did I get that one from?
It's good to have consistent branding, though.
Yeah, that's true. That's something I was hoping to do, is help bridge that gap between both of them. But I want to jump into the part I'm excited for about this. What we're going to do for everybody right now is we're going to go talk about some fitness myths and just have a little back and forth over them. For those that know me, I love this. Mm-hmm. I constantly love debunking things, getting into it, and be like, no, this is wrong, blah, blah, blah. It's a lot of fun. So we're going to see if we're on the same page with certain things, because as we both know, and the audience doesn't, we didn't plan what we're picking.
I have some notes written down. I have no idea what you're going to say.
I have an idea what I'm going to say, but this is going to be fun and exciting. And I want to start with something that I think I'm probably the most passionate about. It's topic 1 in my packet I give everyone, and that is sleep. And this is why I want to talk about sleep and the importance of it. Is it true that you're better off cutting out your sleep to where you're getting less than 8 hours if you don't have time to work out the rest of the day and get a workout in, or skipping that workout to make sure you get that 7 to 9 hours of sleep? That is a tough one. That's a tough
Yeah.
one.
So it depends when you ask me this question, because if you ask me this question at 5 a.m., I'm definitely going to say sleep is much more important and kick you out of my room and shut the lights back off. I'm going to say sleep is more important. I think that's got to be a thing that I have not prioritized much in my life, and it's a thing I tell people all the time. But and this is what happens on my show a lot. There's a lot of it depends things.
Oh, of course, nothing's black and white. Let's preface with that.
But it's fun to speak in black and white.
Yeah, that's true.
It's if I would retort that you can probably get a workout in and sleep adequately. Most people are not booked, 16 hours a day straight through.
Agreed. Netflix is sitting somewhere in there.
You can do some squats while you're watching Netflix.
That's true. So what would you say is adequate sleep and why?
So that's also going to be very different. I think I actually I recently invested in this little Whoop strap thing where it's tracking your sleep and kind of your cardiac output and how recovered and whatnot, or lack of recovery that you have. And I don't understand enough of the science. It's a lot of bro speak that's about to happen. But it says that my 100% recovered from the way I work out and how active I am would be 8.5 hours of sleep, which I will never in my life get. It's just probably not going to happen. My wife, on the other hand, is basically a hummingbird. She could get like 5 hours of sleep and be much more awake than if I get 8. She's just good to go on minimal sleep. General population, I'm going to say you should probably get at least 7 hours. But you wrote a packet, so.
Generally speaking, just to give a little brief synopsis over this, personally, 7 to 9 is that area you want to be. A lot of people they talk about how they don't sleep enough, 5, 6, 7, whatever it is. But what's going to happen is your cortisol levels are going to skyrocket. That's your stress hormone. Sure. And once that stress hormone skyrockets, what are we doing with stress? Oh, look, a piece of cake.
Yeah.
And your body's craving sweets. And you probably realize that when you don't sleep enough, you go for the sweets. Mm-hmm. It's because your body thinks it needs to be awake. And that's the reason you're not sleeping, because there's danger outside. But so it's trying to shove carbs in your mouth. When you're at night, you're just like, carbs. No one's like, ooh, carrots.
And it's also, you're tired, so I'm not going to whip up, some nice roasted Brussels sprouts or something, or eat a salad. I'm going to grab a candy bar from the gas station, shove it in my face, and call that a meal, because I just don't have, clearly I don't have the time. That's why I'm not asleep. So go. And that, like you said, just spikes all the stress hormones, makes you retain fat. You're not really adequately recovering and adapting.
Love that one. Let's go to the next one, because I don't want to go too much into things.
Yeah.
This is one of my favorites, and I think you're going to have a lot to say on this topic. Okay. Meals per day. And what I mean by that, is there any science to eating smaller meals per day or eating less meals? How many meals a day should we eat? Every single diet has a different version of this.
So I will start this long speech by saying carbs in or calories in versus calories out. However you make that happen, line those numbers up. That's maintenance. Less if you get a negative number, so less calories than you burn, weight loss. If you have a positive number, you're getting more calories than you're burning, weight gain. There's dozens and dozens of ways to skin that cat. People do intermittent fasting for weight loss purposes. People do keto. People are vegans and vegetarians. There's so much information on even, what these meals should be, let alone how often you should have them. I gravitate toward, there's probably some level of intermittent fasting, just because what my trainer friend has me doing now is I go to the gym early, get a little cardio in, train a couple clients, then have breakfast. So there's probably like a 14 or 15 hour fast between dinner and then my late breakfast. So I think you should err on more smaller meals for digestive purposes, but make sure you're, almost no matter what, getting adequate calories, because that seems to be a huge problem. People are either way over what they should be, because that's a big thing I'll do. I'll like grab my client's phone, download MyFitnessPal, go for a week, track what your meals are. And people are like, oh, I had no idea I was eating that many calories. Or women seem to do this more often. It's like, oh, I had no idea I was only getting 1,100 calories in and I need 1,800 or 2,000. So I think, and also for digestive purposes, so you're not eating like a Thanksgiving dinner every time and making you sluggish. I think 3 or 4 good whole food meals a day, then maybe a protein shake if you're not reaching your protein levels or calorie levels. But I always try to get whole foods in first and then maybe supplement with whatever I didn't get, kind of look at the day, see how I did. How about you? What do you
Love your answer. I mean, we're personally, and kind of going to go off what you said, it is calories in, calories out to an extent. Yeah. But the biggest issue is when someone eats one meal, what are they eating?
Yeah.
You're starving going into a meal. It's not, let me grill some veggies and have a salad. You're famished. I'm going to just down this 2 pounds of pasta right now in my face.
Exactly. And that's going to just make a rock in your stomach, and you're not going to want to do anything else. So you're going to probably take a nap after that 2 pounds of pasta.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And then the other big thing would be insulin levels. Mm-hmm. Eating a lot of sweets at once and only once or twice per day is going to cause a spike of insulin to help digest the sugars, and then it's going to crash. So you're going to constantly have those high lows from hyper to hypoglycemia, where to me, if you want to just talk about strictly diabetes, I would stick to smaller meals to kind of control your insulin response in your body.
Yeah, definitely. And with most of the country being kind of at risk because of the standard American diet, most people are kind of knocking on at least pre-diabetic. So controlling those insulin spikes and your blood glucose is probably a thing you should be paying attention to.
Oh yeah, totally. Absolutely. I'm going to take off of one that you spoke about. You briefly mentioned in that, but women. And what I mean by that is women in weight training, women in diet, like there's so many, but I want to kind of nitpick this category because to me, I feel like there's a lot of misconceptions in this category. That's the only real reason I'm bringing it up. So first, let's start with women in weight training / cardio. What does toning mean? What should they be doing? Why is there so much confusion about it? Kind of let's see what you have to say about that.
On my list of notes that I wrote down, the first thing was in quotations, I don't want to get big. So that is what women, for the most part, some are totally cool about it. When we walk over and start squatting and lifting weights, most women want to do high, intense cardio things, jumping around, doing, booty isolation exercises.
That's it. That's all they want to do.
Exactly. And avoid, do a lot of abs. Like if you're training a woman and she's kind of an avid gym goer and you're seeing her twice a week and then she's coming maybe once or twice on her own, you can probably avoid butt and ab exercises because she's going to want to get those in. Just like if you're training a guy, you can probably lay off chest. He's going to come in and do plenty of bench presses on his own.
You need to make sure that guy's doing legs.
Yeah. All we're working on are your legs when you come in, dude. But yeah, toning. toning's not a thing. There's because it's like, oh, I want to lose a little fat here, so I guess we'll do tricep kickbacks with a 2-pound dumbbell. And it's like, no, that's not. You're gonna build some muscle. That's what toning is. Reducing your body fat and increasing your muscle size. More of one or the other, but getting more defined. You want to do hypertrophy training. You want to train like a bodybuilder, essentially. You don't want to look, like Ronnie Coleman. But you're not going to, because you're not, taking special supplements and working out 8 hours a day.
That's the biggest thing is just, well, there's women in the gym that are like as big as you, Anthony. And it's just, well, yeah. I mean, if you took testosterone and steroids, you could be as big as me too.
Yeah, absolutely. I work with a woman who's a female bodybuilder, and like, doesn't look masculine at all, because that's another thing. Women are afraid that I don't want to touch weights. I just want to, hop around doing step aerobics because I'm going to develop like a big jaw and look like a man. Again, unless you're injecting steroids into your ass and eating 10 meals a day and working out constantly, it's not going to happen. What's going to happen is you're going to start to lose a little bit of body fat. You're going to tone up, probably stand a little better, and clothes are going to fit you better. You're not going to develop huge arms and shoulders by doing resistance training for 3 hours a week. It's just not really how that works. A lot of people would love if that was the case.
Oh my God, I'd be so
It's
happy.
much harder than that.
I can get jacked just by doing a couple bicep curls. Yes.
Yeah, that would be so much better than what I have to do.
Yeah, exactly. And it's simply put, which I kind of want to break down. If you're a woman listening to this, like, look at the women who you don't want to look like. You'll start seeing masculine features because testosterone's what's doing that.
Yeah, I was watching. It's one of the Netflix. It was like Generation Iron, one of those documentaries. And there's a female bodybuilder in there, and she looks like a dude. In terms, she's big, and she didn't get that way by working out a couple days a week, for 3 months, getting ready for the wedding. That's not how that happened to her. But actually, the last episode of my podcast was talking about like why men and women train differently and why it's kind of nonsense. There's a lot of things both populations could do, more one or the other. Like dudes need way more glute training, just generally.
Oh my gosh, dudes you need a solid foundation in order to build the rest of your body. And this is something it blows my mind. And you want to talk about knee issues and hip issues? Just train your upper body. Let's see what happens in 5 years.
Yeah. So be top heavy. That's a great idea. All that extra weight. What's it? 7 pounds of like 1 pound of weight is 7 pounds on a joint or something like that.
It's 4 pounds through your knees is what I've heard.
Okay. Yeah. I never remember what that number is, but yeah, it's a lot of weight is what we're saying. And it's just pressing into that. I had one, if I can interrupt your show.
Oh yeah, please. I love this.
Because since we're speaking about knee pain and stuff, squats cause knee pain. And then alternatively, it's the same nonsense argument. Deadlifts cause back pain. They absolutely don't. Doing those things wrong might. You fell out of your chair. What happened?
Yeah, I'm dying. That's all. Because I hear this all the time. Yeah, let me tell you, ready? Improper squats cause knee pain. Squatting 75 times your body weight causes knee pain because it's 4 pounds to your joint on top of that. So if you're doing you're doing like a 400-pound squat plus your body weight, times that by 4, and that's how much pressure your knees are doing. Like, duh.
Yeah, absolutely.
And back pain with deadlifts, oh my gosh. So deadlifts, depending on the type, one more than the other, but they work your lower back. Your rectus spina is those muscles that hold your back together. You need that. Those muscles are so weak in the common individual, weak and tight, because we sit all day. That causes back pain. Also, if you're that guy or girl that goes to the gym doesn't hire a personal trainer, and I see your back totally arched while squatting, I'm gonna cringe, which I've done. And I just like God, you're just gonna break your back doing that. Please don't, and don't deadlift 600 pounds. This isn't an ego contest.
Yeah. So few people should be doing that. And a lot of times, like I was training for a powerlifting meet before COVID ended up canceling a bunch of stuff. But I was working up and, working with a guy who was experienced, and you don't just do as much weight as you can every single time you're going to the gym. That's another thing that not having a coach or a trainer works through. Just like people don't practice all out, if Usain Bolt's running is 100 or 200 meter, every single time he practices, he's not going all out or the whole distance every time. Not every gym day needs to be max effort. Competition things are competition things, and you can push yourself a little more. If you're just going to the gym, take it easy. And that is the one thing, like you said, most of the time I leave people alone.
Oh yeah.
I'll be like, oh, that's a dumb way to curl. Guy's like rocking back and forth. Just broke my chair. Like rocking back and forth, doing some ridiculous stuff, and whatever. You're not going to kill yourself doing that. But if I see somebody with like shrimp posture go to grab that bar, I was like, no. I don't want to call the ambulance. What are we doing here? And that'll interrupt people for like. That's the one that freaks me out.
Pre-personal training years, I was working at a big box gym, and I was this front desk person. And I no joke, man, the hamstring curl machine, the one you're laying on your stomach and then you curl your legs back. I want you to imagine this. The guy was on his stomach, but he was turned 180. So the bar was behind his neck. No, it was behind his neck. And he was doing some crazy head like contraction with 200 pounds on the bar. I walked away, and I'm just like, I'm not getting involved. This guy's going to die. And I just made sure I had my phone on me just to call 911.
Oh, I was thinking the opposite. I was thinking like World Star Hip Hop, you were going to start recording. That's why I thought you had the phone with you. I was like, watch this guy. What's about to happen?
Oh, I didn't want that being public. Just watching this guy, 200 pounds, as they're pushing his neck back. I was like,
you don't want. Most machines have pictures. If you're not going to hire a personal trainer, just look at the pictures, and for the most part, do that.
Yeah, I just don't think it's a good idea to put 200 pounds on your neck ever. Just general rule of thumb. I like dips on the the gravitron thing for pull-ups. Yeah. People just stand behind it and push that down, the thing that's supposed to lift your body up as the assist for pull-ups. That's my favorite one to watch. People just doing that one wrong. Not wrong. I guess it is a tricep exercise, but there's other ways to do that. I think the point is that work out safely, work out smart, and if you don't know, ask. You're not going to go to the pharmacy and your pharmacist and say, I want that drug.
Yeah. I've never thought about that before, but I mean, it's not the exact same thing, but that is, people get so much information from the internet, and so much of the internet is bullshit, especially when it comes to health things, because anybody can have an internet site where they post blogs, and you can find out every bit of information. And then if you don't know how to vet it, you're just going off like, oh, I read that you should do this. And you end up, with 200 pounds on your neck, and then you're in the ER.
It still scars me. That was like 7 years ago. And I still just quiver a little bit when I hear that one. I want to talk about a very a big topic, but I want you to just kind of pick a couple off of it. I'll give you the general. The general topic is supplementing.
Okay.
You don't have to break down. We'll be here for 65 hours if we break down supplements. But give us a general view and then nitpick a couple.
Okay. So, for the most part, if I look at like supplements I take, they're going to be largely based on, like I said, with whey protein earlier on. I look at what my diet was for the day, and then if I miss stuff, I'll kind of take it to fit micronutrients that I want to hit. Like I'll take like a fish oil or a krill oil or something. I do take creatine every day because it's a pretty widely studied thing, and it seems, to have like a dozen different benefits, and you don't need to load scoops and scoops into just like, I don't even measure it at this point because I kind of know what 3 to 5 grams looks like. I'm like, it's about right. And just plop it into some water or something and drink that. In terms of stuff that I just don't feel like you need but are so widely used, pre-workouts are probably my least favorite supplement.
Oh man, I have an issue when it comes to pre-workouts. I am addicted.
Yeah. And a lot of it is like, I look at the same way I have like a caffeine dependency. Like I can't get up for work unless I have coffee or something. I don't want to be in a situation, and this is just me being crazy, but if, I have to work up all this, fight or flight response to get underneath the squat bar, what's going to happen when I have to defend my home? It's like, hold on, I got to take my pre-workout before I fight off these intruders. And that's just me being ridiculous. But I kind of want to be able to get up for it on my own. And then, if your body's not ready, your body's not ready. You can do other things to kind of prime yourself. But I also just don't like the way they make me feel. A lot of them will have a lot of like B vitamins and niacin. And I have a pretty large beard, and those vitamins just kind of make your face tingle. And
that's niacin and L-arginine.
Yeah. Yeah. And people will be like, oh, it's working. It's like, no, there's just blood rushing to your face. But it makes my beard feel like it's moving, and it's developed its own sentience. And I don't love that feeling.
Oh my gosh, that's hysterical. I like it for the caffeine. Caffeine has been shown to have a lot of benefits going into a workout.
Yeah.
So that's why I take it. Also, I'm slightly addicted, but I can admit it.
Yeah. All of that being said, if I have to get a workout in and it's not looking good, I've leg day in a couple hours, might take one now that we're talking about it, just to get up for it. But it's one of those things. If it gets abused, it leads to rough things. Other stuff that I don't think you necessarily need. Oh, that's a big one. There's just like fat burners and stuff.
Oh God, why are those still?
That's ridiculous. Yeah.
I can't stand it. People like fat burners. It's like, they're really bad for you.
Yeah. BCAAs are probably unnecessary.
I agree with you about 99% on BCAAs being unnecessary. Yeah. They have shown minor increases for aerobic training.
Yes.
And I also love the flavor.
Yeah.
That's the only reason I would ever take it, because I like the taste of BCAAs. Something about it just tastes really good.
Yeah. So that's fine. Like, I think the same way you would have like a glucose supplement, like one of those gel things for marathon runners and so, or just distance runners, it kind of it's that intra workout supplementation. And a lot of it is just like, all right, here's some more protein to work with and, more amino acids. A lot of those are just found if you have a good whey protein or whatever protein you take post-workout, you're still going to get a lot of those. So unless, like you said, a good aerobic workout, so a sustained long run or, long time on a bike or something, if you're taking that, like sipping that to get through your, chest and tries, you probably don't really actually need that.
Yeah, especially if you're at the gym for 2 hours and you're doing a set every 20 minutes.
Yeah. It's you got to sit, talk to your friends, text for a while in between. So all these things aren't useless. Just like a lot of different, different vitamins. aren't useless, but you can get them from Whole Foods and stuff, which I think we should aim for.
Because your body absorbs it better. A lot of the vitamins, especially B, like I take B vitamins because I've always found myself deficient in them, but your pee smells and is yellow. And that's just a sign you're just pissing most of it out.
Yeah. And I think the best thing somebody could do is take like a blood panel and see what you are actually deficient in instead of just buying up everything. Oh, he said, creatine's good. Let me take that. And then, I hear vitamin D is good and zinc for, immune purposes, especially this day and age. Let me buy this all up. And vitamin D is probably a good one to take because most people are deficient in it. I think it's like
and vitamin D can actually help more with viruses than vitamin C. I need people to think about that for a second.
Yeah.
You're probably more likely deficient in vitamin D than you are vitamin C. So stop buying vitamin C supplements. If you're having a piece of fruit, you're good.
Yeah. And it's like vitamin C is citric acid for the most part. Think of how like all the crap people eat and that has that as like a flavoring component. So you're probably getting a lot of it, like more than you think. Like candy, despite being terrible for you and full of sugar, probably actually has a lot of vitamin C in it.
I'm actually curious. I don't know.
I might have made that up. I was just thinking about it as we were talking. But vitamin D, as I was, again, listening to podcasts and the internet and getting all my information that way, was shown to really help your virus immunity.
And just
with
so people know,
magnesium too.
Oh yeah, and the best way to get vitamin D is not supplementing, but just going outside. 20 minutes of sun exposure. I know in the winter up in New York, as you know, it's what sun. So
exactly.
Vitamin D is good for the winter, but vitamin D3, that is the most soluble version of it.
Yes. And a lot of it is also getting magnesium helps kind of carry it into our cells and helps us process it. So you can get magnesium from a ton of other foods too. You don't have to take a magnesium supplement necessarily. So I think that kind of level of education is just good for people. And
I want to do one more, and then if you have any, I want you to ask. But the one I want to pinpoint is you mentioned a couple times protein.
Yeah.
Let's talk about protein supplementing and time of day, because I think those are the two biggest confusions people get with it and have an understanding of what exactly it does, et cetera, et cetera.
Sure. So in terms of supplementing, and I did mention a couple times, if you can just eat protein, that is probably the most, eating animal protein is the most bioavailable way to get protein in your body. I had an argument with a vegan one time, and I didn't fact check this because I knew she was wrong. But she said a pound of spinach has more protein in it than a pound of beef does, regardless of if that's right. Do you know how much a pound of spinach is? It's this backpack full of spinach. Nobody eats that much spinach.
And then just a side note, just because it brought up a memory, I personally know somebody who went to the ER for eating a pound of spinach because guess what else spinach is high in?
What's
vitamin
that?
K.
Yes.
Vitamin K is fat soluble, meaning you don't just piss it out from having too much. And K helps clot your blood. Her blood was too thick and it was causing a lot of issues throughout her body. Please, for the sake of well-being, do not eat a pound of spinach. Eat spinach, don't eat a pound of it.
My father actually takes blood thinners because he had a heart attack a while. So he can't eat leafy greens because they're so high in vitamin K, because it'll mess with the dose of blood thinner and it's hard to balance. So he just has to take other supplemental, get all the good stuff that green veggies have without the K. But so regardless of, whether a pound of spinach will send you to the hospital or not, don't eat that. It's also not going to give you the same amount of protein. Just because that protein molecule exists doesn't mean we can access it. Cows eat grass and are fine. Do you know why? Cows have 4 stomachs and can really fully digest that structure, and unlock the protein and stuff out of that grass. I don't have 4 stomachs. Most of my clients don't. So you're just kind of, like I said, pissing it out, getting rid of all that stuff, and it's not being absorbed into your body. If you eat animal protein, there it is. It's already in the form that we can use it, so it's much easier to get it on. And then that also kind of speaks to what protein should you take. You want a full amino acid profile. So getting all of the amino acids that we can't make. I don't remember all of them. They're longer numbers than I care to memorize, or longer words than I care to memorize.
Fair.
But I know I need them. So you can get them from animal products, or if you're gonna be a vegetarian or a vegan, mixing the right things together. Like rice and beans is a good one. That's how you can stay healthy, for very cheap. That's why a lot of cultures do stuff like that, like some kind of rice and some kind of legume, if they have a full amino acid profile. Timing. I try not to eat a lot of protein before bed because it takes a while to digest. For me, anyway, especially like red meat. Red meat is probably my favorite, but it takes my body a little longer to digest. And then if I'm working hard to digest something, I'm not really working on getting into sleep mode. So I think kind of spread throughout the day, whether you have to drink a protein shake immediately after your weight training. I've heard, from actual, supplement companies, so take that with a grain of salt, that you got to get it in, that 15-minute window, and then you got to drink your casein at night because it's a slow digesting protein and it's going to release into all the blood cells, or your muscle cells rather. Probably just get enough protein, and enough protein, making it as easy as possible for most people. Say 1 gram of protein per pound of your lean body mass. If you're 500 pounds, please don't eat 500 grams of protein every day. That's going to push you on the other side. That's, you're going to gain more weight if you do that. Say your lean mass, I'm hanging around 250 right now. My lean mass is probably like 225, 230. So if I have 225, 230 grams of protein, I'm probably right where I need to be.
Yeah, a couple of tidbits. Jury's out about afterwards consuming protein. I've always heard half an hour. And something I can mention, something I think is important for a lot of people, is the people that just take protein and dump it in water. And why am I against that? Because you need carbs in order to break down proteins properly, use them. If you're not eating carbs with anything, you're kind of wasting your time. So, little rule of thumb there. But it doesn't have to be a lot of carbs. A small amount does the trick. And then I want to bring up types of protein, because I know you mentioned it a little bit. Maybe, I don't know if you're aware of this or what. So you have 3 big types. There's plant protein, there's soy protein, and there's whey protein. So I'm going to start with whey protein. The benefit of whey protein is it's a complete amino profile right off the top. It's cheap. Be careful when you read labels because they come in isolates, concentrates, and blends. Blends are loaded with a lot of milk, and that's why they're really cheap. Stick to your concentrates and isolates. For those that are young, something I learned a while back, if you suffer from acne, do not take whey protein. It is the one food known to cause acne. A lot of people don't know that, but someone like myself who has IBS and has always suffered from acne, I stay clear of whey protein. That, along with me being lactose intolerant, which, by the way, that's what whey comes from. It's milk protein. Be careful of that. Soy protein, fine in low doses. You know why? The
gynecomastia type thing, man boobs.
Man boobs are a thing.
I've heard that. I didn't know. I don't know enough about it to substantiate that, but I just tell dudes not to do it because of an article I read on T Nation. So that's enough for me.
Either sex, women having too much estrogen is still a bad thing.
Yeah.
So I would say you're not going to be having enough where it's really going to cause an issue unless you're a person who's lactose intolerant and you're drinking soy milk and then having soy protein as a supplement. That's where a lot of your red flags are going to come up. And then plant protein. If it's cheap, it means it probably doesn't have a complete plant profile in it. Because like you said before, it's all about a balance of the amino acids, and it needs to be a complete plant protein. It is very expensive, which kind of sucks because that's what I usually tend to have in the buy.
Yeah.
But rule of thumb, if you can get it from a piece of chicken, if you can get it from some eggs, if you're a vegetarian, vegans, I'm sorry, this is the issue I have with your diets. That and B12 issues that you guys are forced to supplement with.
Yeah.
That's
iron.
Iron.
Yeah.
Iron you can get from some supplements, but the B12 you literally cannot get from anything but animal sources.
Yeah.
So if you have to supplement on a diet, regardless of what that diet is, I probably have an issue with it.
Yeah. Yeah. If that's, I've the same thing with like the carnivore diet, because you hear like Mark Bell talking about that, and guy looks great.
Yeah.
He's lost some weight doing it, and a lot of doctors are, at least famous doctors on podcasts talk about like how it just, you don't get everything from animals. You get a lot of, but fiber, and then they're saying how necessary is fiber. Carbs are the only one of the three macronutrients that aren't completely necessary. You need fat, you need protein, or else all your systems shut down. Carbs are just helpful. So I feel like eliminating something that gives you all these micronutrients, gives you all grams of fiber, and just kind of helps, like you said, helps turn protein into muscle in small doses.
I would say listen to the podcast that I went on a 35-minute rant strictly about fiber. I didn't have a guest speaker. It was all me because that is my go-to.
Yeah. Nice. That's awesome, man.
And anything else you want to ask me before we get going?
I had one more written down.
Go for it.
The big one, and it kind of loops into what I was saying about women before, because they're the bigger perpetrators of this. But endless cardio is the best way to lose weight. And I touched on the best way to lose weight before. There's an equation. It's your calories that you're taking in, subtract the calories that you're putting out, and then that's the number. Then, we talked about nutrition for a brief time. Figure out how the best way to get your nutrition. But if we're talking about weight loss, less calories. And cardio is not a really good way to get there. I wrote a blog post not too long ago talking about if you're going to do some kind of cardiovascular activity, make it something that you're not very good at, because you being inefficient at a movement makes you burn more calories because you're just struggling. That's why running seems to be like the top calorie burner, because most people are terrible at running. People have terrible gaits and just they're flailing all over the place. Yeah, of course you're burning calories. Look ridiculous.
I need to tell you, Article 3 in my packet literally says the title, Limit the Temptation of Falling into the Cardio Trap.
Yeah. Cardio is great for your heart. It does burn calories, so it's not a bad idea to do, but it can't be the only thing you do. If you have a gym membership, don't spend $50 on a gym to come use the treadmill. That's a terrible waste of money. Just go outside, get your vitamin D and your cardio. But it's so many people do that. They just spend 45 minutes to an hour on the elliptical or a bike, two motions that are not very hard to do. And yes, you're moving, so that's great because you're not sitting down. But you're not really kind of maximizing your time, and you're going to get discouraged. It's like, I'm working out. I'm spending an hour and a half in the gym. Why aren't I losing weight? It's like, well, to and from there, you stopped and got some ice cream, and then you got some McDonald's, and you only burned 100 calories in that hour and a half. So here we are. Now you're plus 700 calories for the day by that trip. So you kind of have to look at the calories in, calories out. But cardio is important, but I think resistance training kind of supersedes it, when it comes to fat loss.
Can I jump in on this one?
Yeah, absolutely.
So my biggest pet peeve with it is kind of what you're saying. People think cardio is the best way to lose weight, and it's totally not. So It's great for your cardiovascular system. And you can combine cardio and weight training. And what's my issue with just cardio? Guess what happens when you do too much cardio? You start burning muscle. Guess what's really bad about burning muscle? Your metabolic rate drops.
Yeah.
I want everyone to say that says, I don't believe you. To close their eyes for a second, and I want you to envision a long distance runner. These are the people that all they do is run. What do they look like? They're twigs. Yeah. And I promise you, the second they start eating again and stop running those lengths, they will gain the weight back right away. This is why women generally, because they're the ones that do this more often than men, gain weight so quickly and they get mad at their husbands. They're like, it's not fair. I ate a burger and gained 5 pounds. It's because all you're doing is cardio.
Yeah.
And you're burning muscle, so you're lowering your metabolic rate. You need to do cardio. It's great for your cardiovascular system, but if you don't put it in conjunction with weight training, you're going to burn through all your muscle stores. Plus, you're not even eating enough protein to maintain that muscle stores. So you're really setting yourself up in a downward spiral. And no wonder you're gaining weight only eating 1,200 calories a day. So please go lift weights. I don't care what you're doing. Drop everything. Go lift weights. Start supersetting. Do some HIIT training with it. And guess what? Your heart will feel great. You'll start feeling better. You start building some muscle. No, you won't look like a man. And your metabolic rate will skyrocket. I'm sure like yourself as trainers, we know. I personally, myself, and by the way, just full disclosure, because this isn't visual, go look, check me out. I eat 3,000 to 3,500 calories a day, and that's on my low side. It's because all I really pretty much do is weight training, and I am a twig.
Yeah, I am working. I'm doing a little bit of cutting. I'm eating 3,000 calories a day, and I lose weight doing that. 3,000 calories as your cut is a great place to be.
Oh, it's awesome.
You can get real full on 3,000 calories. It's great.
But you can eat more foods and feel better. You don't have to go out to eat and feel guilty that, maybe I shouldn't have got that little appetizer because, you're burning at such a higher rate.
Yeah.
Maybe that one beer you have a week. I know people probably more than that, but that one beer isn't the end of the world because you're burning at such a high rate. And then as opposed to the people that just run all the time and then complain that they gain weight so quickly.
Yeah. Your body is incredible at, we can wrap it up after this, but your body does exactly what you ask of it. So if you want to run for 2 hours every day, that's great. Your body is going to turn into this vessel that can run a sustained speed for 2 hours. And think of people in the African plains that have to chase down animals to kill, they're skinny folks. They're also probably not getting enough protein because they have to chase down animals to get them. But anyway, if you resistance train, if you do HIIT training, all this stuff, you demand more of your body, and you don't turn into this little twig of a person because your body wants everything to be as easy as possible. So if you're just running, all right, we're just going to get lighter. And it doesn't care what lighter means. It doesn't mean just fat. It probably means protein and muscle is going to go right out the door.
Oh, yeah. Your brain is the laziest thing in the world. It will do whatever it can to make sure it doesn't have to work. It's like, I have enough jobs. You make me work this heart thing all the time. Just chill out. Stop doing weird shit.
Yeah, man. That's all I got. I think we covered a lot of gym myths and fallacies that if anybody is concerned about, that coming into the gym is going to make them, women look like a man, or they're going to hurt their knees squatting, or they can run and burn fat, or they have to take all these supplements. I think we handled a lot of that today.
I think we covered a lot. But Pat, where can people find you? I know you kind of briefly mentioned in the beginning, but give us a follow. Someone wants to get a hold of you.
All right. So you can find me. I'm mostly on Instagram. It's at Pat Ivain, PATIVAIN. That's my own personal one. And then my show's the Muscle Confusion Podcast. It's at MuscleConPod on Instagram. Also, and either of those things are both on Facebook And if I do some online personal trainings, or even people in New York or wherever you guys are, you can either DM any one of those things. They all go right to my phone, or email me at pativain@gmail.com. And we can talk about whatever you want if you have some health questions.
Absolutely. And guys, please listen to his podcast. It sounds awesome. And
Thanks, man.
thank you for joining us on this week's episode of Health and Fitness Redefined. Don't forget to subscribe to our show and join us next week as we dive deeper into this ever-changing field. And remember, fitness is a journey, not a destination. Until next week, guys.